Welcome to NVL Travel Documentary. What if I told you that just steps away from the White House lies a world that feels more like a crime thriller than the capital of the free world? In this travel documentary, we're not chasing sunsets or tourist hotspots, we're chasing truth. And today, the truth is raw, dark, and deeply human. Welcome to Washington, D.C., not the version from postcards, but the one hidden in plain sight. Behind the marble monuments and historic landmarks, something is unraveling. Tents line the sidewalks, shadows move through the night like lost souls. Locals call it the zombie city, but this isn't fiction. It's one of the most shocking facts about a country that calls itself the land of opportunity. How did the capital of the United States become a place where survival feels like a daily crime story? What lies beneath this silent crisis, and what does it say about the future of urban America? This is not just a country documentary, this is a journey into a hidden reality, where every corner tells a story, and every face carries a warning. Stay with us, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Number 1. America's capital in crisis. Homelessness explodes in Washington, D.C. In the shadow of the White House, beneath the towering monuments and marble columns that symbolize freedom, democracy, and power, a very different America is unfolding. The nation's capital is facing a humanitarian crisis that most tourists never see, and many locals have become numb to. An explosion in homelessness that is reshaping the streets, straining city systems, and challenging the soul of the city itself. The numbers are alarming, but the faces behind them are devastating. As of early 2025, more than 17,000 people in the Washington, D.C. metro area are living without stable housing. Of those, an estimated 8,000 are unsheltered, meaning they sleep outside, with no access to shelters and no roof beyond the sky above. That's not just a statistic. That's thousands of human beings, mothers, fathers, veterans, students, the elderly, fighting to survive every single day on the sidewalks of the most powerful city in the world. Over the past 5 years, homelessness in D.C. has surged by over 30%, with the sharpest increases in the last 2. And it's not confined to alleyways or abandoned lots. This crisis is in full view, just steps from major government buildings, embassies, tourist attractions, and upscale boutiques. A walk through downtown reveals the unignorable. Take a walk through downtown or Capitol Hill, and the story speaks for itself. What used to be sidewalks filled with commuters and camera-toting tourists are now lined with makeshift encampments, rows of tents, tarps, cardboard shelters, and shopping carts stacked with personal belongings. Trash bags, food containers, discarded clothing, and even used needles clutter the streets. Public bus stops have become overnight shelters, park benches double as beds, Storefronts are boarded up not from lack of business, but from concern over safety. In Franklin Park, Union Station, and around public libraries, people huddle beneath thin blankets, curled against freezing wind. They cover their faces with scarves, not for fashion, but to fight off the cold. Their eyes are hollow, their spirits exhausted. And in school zones, children pass by men and women sleeping on sidewalks. It's not a scene from a dystopian film, it's a daily reality, normalized but never truly acceptable. Where the crisis is hitting hardest. The homelessness crisis is not evenly spread. Downtown Washington, parts of the Northeast, and especially Ward 6, which includes Capitol Hill, have seen some of the most dramatic increases. In Ward 6 alone, the unsheltered population has more than doubled in just 2 years. Even high-traffic zones like 14th Street, once a hub of nightlife and restaurants, are now sites of visible suffering. Shoppers step around sleeping bodies, families avoid playgrounds in the park, security guards stand outside pharmacies, not to prevent theft, but to protect people from overdose inside the store bathrooms. Familiar doesn't mean acceptable. It's easy, too easy to get used to this, to walk past the same tent, the same person, the same haunting cry and think, that's just how it is. But make no mistake, this is not normal. It's a crisis, one that has become so visible that it risks becoming invisible through repetition. Because behind every blue tarp is a person. Behind every sidewalk mattress is a story. And behind every silent figure sitting alone in the cold is a flickering hope that someone might still care. Number 2, the real reasons behind DC's homeless surge. It's deeper than you think. To truly understand what's happening in Washington, D.C., we have to dig deeper than the surface. The tents, the drug use, the mental illness, these are the symptoms. But underneath them lies a much larger and more complex set of problems. Problems that didn't appear overnight and won't be solved by quick fixes. Let's start with the most immediate and brutal force behind this crisis. 1. The housing crisis, when shelter becomes a luxury. In the capital of one of the wealthiest nations on earth, housing has become a privilege, not a right. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in D.C. is now over $2,600 a month. That's nearly 3 times more than what a full-time minimum wage worker can afford. For low-income families, seniors, and workers in the gig economy, the math just doesn't work. Affordable housing options are virtually non-existent. Public housing wait lists stretch for years, and even those lucky enough to get a housing voucher often struggle to find landlords willing to accept it. When people can't afford to stay, they're pushed out, but when there's nowhere left to go, they fall through the cracks and onto the streets. 2. The COVID-19 fallout, a pandemic of poverty. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't just bring a virus, it unleashed a cascade of consequences that hit the most vulnerable the hardest. Jobs disappeared, especially in service industries, construction, transportation, and informal gig work. People who were already living paycheck to paycheck suddenly found themselves with nothing. Rent piled up, savings vanished, and for many, recovery has never truly come. But it wasn't just a financial blow. It was emotional, psychological, and deeply personal. Depression and anxiety surged, isolation worsened, and with overwhelmed systems, mental health support became harder to find exactly when it was needed most. 3. No break in social safety net. Too little, too late. America's social safety net, meant to catch people before they fall, has holes so large that entire communities slip. Shelters in D.C. are overcrowded, underfunded, and often unsafe. Many people experiencing homelessness avoid them entirely due to theft, violence, or lack of privacy. And while support services exist, mental health treatment, job training, addiction recovery, they're tangled in bureaucracy and limited in reach. It's not uncommon for someone to wait months for a mental health evaluation or be told there are no available beds for addiction treatment. And for people already in crisis, time isn't a luxury. They need help now. Imagine needing urgent medical care, but being told to fill out a form, wait for a call, or visit 3 different offices. It's an obstacle course, and most never make it to the finish line. 4. The drug epidemic, fueling the collapse. And then there's the wave that's flooding the streets faster than any outreach can keep up with: synthetic drugs. Fentanyl is now everywhere. Just a few grains can cause death. It's cheap, incredibly addictive, and often mixed into other substances without the user knowing. Alongside fentanyl, methamphetamine is surging, causing intense paranoia, hallucinations, and psychosis. These drugs don't just destroy bodies, they steal identities. They create mental prisons that isolate people from reality and from the very help they need to escape. The combination of drug addiction and untreated mental illness creates the haunting scenes we see every day: people talking to themselves, screaming at invisible enemies, curled up on cold concrete like ghosts in their own city. So when you put it all together, unaffordable housing, the long shadow of COVID-19, a failing support system, and a raging drug crisis, you don't just get a homeless problem. You get a humanitarian disaster unfolding in the heart of a capital city. And here's the truth: if these root causes aren't addressed head-on, this won't stop at DC. It's already spreading across cities, across states, across the country. This isn't just a DC issue, it's becoming America's new normal. And the question is, are we ready to face that? Or will we just keep walking past it? Number 3. When the streets collapse, the dangerous ripple effects on the entire city. This crisis doesn't exist in a vacuum. The ripple effects of homelessness and systemic failure are reaching far beyond the sidewalks and shaking the very foundation of Washington, D.C., as a functioning, safe, and compassionate city. The rise in homelessness has been accompanied by a rise in fear, especially among residents who now feel unsafe in spaces they once considered part of their daily routine. Street-level crimes like petty theft, vandalism, and public disturbances have increased noticeably in the last year. According to data from the Metropolitan Police Department, Central DC has seen a nearly 20% increase in such incidents compared to previous years. And while it's crucial not to equate homelessness with criminal behavior, the desperation that comes from hunger, addiction, or untreated mental illness can sometimes push individuals into volatile situations. Imagine waiting at a bus stop and witnessing a person have a psychotic breakdown, or walking your child to school and passing someone collapsed on the pavement with a needle still in their arm. These aren't rare occurrences, they are becoming part of the urban landscape. And for many, fear has replaced familiarity. Trust in public spaces is eroding. There's also the physical transformation of the city. Areas once vibrant with energy, like downtown, Union Station, and even parts of the National Mall, now carry an air of neglect. Sidewalks are cluttered with trash, tents cover entire blocks, public restrooms smell of urine, and graffiti marks once pristine buildings. Tourism, a key economic engine for Washington, has taken a hit. Compared to pre-pandemic levels, tourism is down by more than 12%. Local businesses report lower foot traffic, especially in areas known to have large encampments. Conferences and events that once flocked to the city are now considering alternatives. Investors, too, are pulling back. Empty storefronts multiply. What once felt like a center of global power is starting to feel like a city on pause, stuck between prestige and collapse. Strain on public services, a system near breaking point. Then there's the toll on public services, especially healthcare and emergency response. Hospitals in DC, particularly emergency rooms, are overwhelmed. Medical professionals report a steady rise in cases related to chronic illnesses that are untreated, exposure, injuries, and drug overdoses. Many of these cases involve repeat patients, individuals with no access to primary care, no stable housing, and no clear path to recovery. On an average winter night, emergency services respond to over 100 calls related to homelessness, whether it's a hypothermia case, a mental health crisis, or a drug overdose. These calls cost time, money, and often stretch personnel thin, leaving fewer resources for other emergencies. Even the school system is affected. Children walking to class pass by people in distress. Some schools near homeless encampments have had to increase security or reroute entry points. These are not just logistical issues, they're shaping how young people view society, safety, and compassion. But perhaps the most haunting consequence of all is the social divide that's growing wider by the day. There's a silent war taking place between compassion and avoidance. Some residents want to help, others cross the street, lock their doors, or call the police. There's anger, frustration, indifference, and over time, as the crisis persists, many people start to look through the homeless instead of at them. That's when something dangerous begins to happen, not just in the city, but in us. We stop making eye contact, we stop caring, we become numb, and when a society stops seeing the suffering around it, it begins to lose something essential, its humanity. Because this isn't just a policy failure. It's a people failure, a collective numbness that threatens the soul of the city. Every time we walk past someone curled up on the sidewalk without even a glance, we confirm the idea that they are invisible, disposable, forgotten. And the longer we allow this division to grow, the harder it will be to rebuild not just infrastructure, but empathy. Number 4, Zombie City is real, a chilling glimpse into DC's nighttime despair. The nickname Zombie City might sound like a piece of urban legend or a dramatic headline cooked up for clicks, but for thousands of people living in and around downtown Washington, D.C., it's a hauntingly accurate reflection of everyday reality. Take a nighttime walk through certain neighborhoods, parts of Northeast D.C., around Union Station, or even near Capitol Hill, and the nickname begins to make chilling sense. It's not just about tents and trash or the scattered remnants of a city struggling to hold itself together. It's about the people, their movements, their eyes, their silence. You'll see them wandering aimlessly through the streets, thin, shivering, mumbling to no one, eyes distant and unfocused. Some scream out suddenly, lost in an internal battle. Others sit motionless for hours, rocking back and forth, clutching plastic bags or torn blankets. Their limbs move slowly, like they're underwater or somewhere far away. It's not horror fiction, it's trauma in motion. This is what untreated mental illness and substance-induced psychosis look like. According to a 2025 report from the National Coalition for the Homeless, an estimated 35% of unsheltered individuals in Washington, D.C. are suffering from severe mental health conditions, many of them worsened or triggered by fentanyl and methamphetamine. These substances don't just damage the body, they disconnect people from reality. It's here that the term zombie city becomes painfully literal. Fentanyl, 50 times stronger than heroin, is now the most common drug found on the streets. Combined with stimulants like meth, the result is a public health catastrophe where overdose is a nightly occurrence, and coming back from addiction can feel like climbing out of a grave. One local resident described it like this: "It's like watching souls drift through the streets, like people who were once alive but now just stuck somewhere in between." For parents, this means warning their kids not to walk certain blocks. For office workers, it means leaving work early to avoid the rush hour chaos. For elderly residents, it means crossing the street out of fear. And for longtime Washingtonians, it means looking at a city they no longer recognize. But beyond the fear lies something more heartbreaking: grief. Because the most terrifying thing about Zombie City isn't just what you see, it's what you feel. The weight of helplessness. The sadness of seeing someone screaming at the sky or curled up in freezing weather with no one stopping to help. The emotional numbness that creeps in after seeing it one too many times. And that's the real danger. Not just that people are suffering, but that the rest of us are becoming used to it. Desensitized, detached. If left unchallenged, this metaphor will stop being a warning. It will become a label. A cruel, permanent brand on a city that should be the heart of democracy, not the front line of despair. Zombie City is not just a nickname. And what it reflects isn't fiction, it's the consequence of years of neglect, broken systems, and ignored humanity. If we don't face the root causes now, the streets won't be the only thing deteriorating. Our empathy will too. Number 5, a flicker of hope, the bold efforts to save Washington from the brink. Amid the cold streets and the hollow stares of the unhoused, hope still flickers, faint but not extinguished. While the situation may seem overwhelming, there are hands at work every day, striving to pull Washington, D.C. back from the edge. Local government, facing a policy storm head-on. In 2025, the D.C. government has responded to the crisis with some of the most aggressive interventions in years. The city allocated over $200 million in its latest budget to expand affordable housing, increase emergency shelter capacity, and invest in long-term mental health care. New housing initiatives are being rolled out under the Housing First model, where individuals are given a safe place to live without conditions like sobriety or employment. The belief is simple yet powerful: stability comes before change. Early results have shown that when people are treated with dignity first, recovery often follows. Emergency winter shelters have also been expanded, with new pop-up facilities opening in churches, recreation centers, and even used government buildings. These shelters offer not just a roof, but warmth, food, and human contact, basic needs that have become luxuries for thousands. DC has also invested in mobile outreach teams, small groups of stream professionals who walk the streets offering mental health check-ins, addiction support, and direct access to emergency services. They don't wait for people to ask for help, they bring it to them. And while law enforcement has increased patrols in high-impact zones to maintain order, there's a growing understanding that the solution is not more policing, it's more care. The shift is subtle but important, from containment to compassion. Government efforts alone aren't enough, and that's where local nonprofits, churches, and ordinary citizens are stepping in with incredible resolve. From mobile showers and food trucks to street clinics and clothing drives, these grassroots efforts are often the lifeline that keeps people going. Some volunteers work full-time jobs and still spend evenings handing out hygiene kits. Others run mental health hotlines or organize fundraising drives for sleeping bags, tents, and winter coats. Faith-based organizations have opened their doors as safe havens, offering warm meals, spiritual support, and even job training. One church in Ward 7 has transformed its basement into a transitional housing hub, giving dozens of people a fresh start. Meanwhile, nonprofits are lobbying for systemic change, fighting not just for band-aids but for policies that address the roots of homelessness, eviction laws, housing subsidies, and expanded healthcare. There's also inspiration from beyond DC. Take Houston, Texas, for example. In the past decade, the city has reduced its homeless population by nearly 60%, a staggering achievement. How did they do it? By breaking down silos. Government agencies, charities, and private donors came together, sharing data in real time, streamlining services, and prioritizing long-term housing solutions. Houston's success shows that the crisis is not insurmountable. It's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of will. Of course, the road ahead is steep. The tent cities won't disappear overnight, and deep wounds take time to heal. But these efforts, imperfect as they are, prove that change is possible. Washington, D.C. is at a crossroads. One path leads deeper into despair, the other requires courage, coordination, and compassion. And if we choose the latter, there's a chance not just to reclaim the city's image, but to rebuild its soul. Because behind every effort, behind every hot meal, every shelter bed, every kind word, there's a message. You matter, you are seen, and you are not forgotten. What's happening in Washington, D.C. isn't just a local issue. It's a mirror reflecting the deeper cracks in our society. The growing number of people living without shelter in the capital city is not simply a statistic. It's a human tragedy unfolding every day. We've seen how unaffordable housing, the lasting impact of the pandemic, A strained healthcare system and widespread drug addiction have all collided to create a perfect storm. From the haunting images of people wandering the streets like shadows, to the growing divide between communities, this crisis reminds us that no city, no matter how powerful, is immune. And yet, there is hope. Across Washington, efforts are being made, from new housing programs to grassroots community support. Other cities like Houston have shown us that real, lasting change is possible when everyone, nonprofits and citizens work together. At the heart of it all, this documentary is a call to awareness and to compassion, because homelessness is not just about people without homes. It's about a society that decides whether to care or to look away. So, as we wrap up this journey, here's the thought I'd like to leave you with. When darkness spreads through a city, the question isn't just how to light it, but how to make sure we don't grow blind to the people still living in the shadows. If this story moved you or made you think, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts below. And if you'd like to see more untold stories from around the world, consider subscribing to NVL Travel Documentary and giving this video a like. It helps us continue bringing real stories to light. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next journey.